everybody. Good day and welcome to Sacred Conversations. You're with me, Faye De Leon and Ruby Diamante. And today we are very excited because we have with us a very special guest. We always have special guests with us. And today we are joined by Frank Arjava Petter, all the way from Greece. Hello, Arjava.
Hi,
Say
nice
hello
to
to
see you.
our. Yes.
Hi.
And of course, we could always introduce you the way you are always introduced in other interviews or other talks that you have. And of course, we will do that in the introduction. But I would like to ask you to for you to say something about yourself or how you would like to be. How would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners? Just something different. So, what would you like to say about yourself, or how would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, so maybe the most fitting introduction would be to say that we're all sitting in the same boat. All of us, there's no difference between you and me. I'm not in any way special. I'm just a little passenger in a big boat from ignorance to enlightenment. This is our journey, and we're all the same. So please don't think of me as some kind of special person, or people always think that, oh, this guy, he has written so many books, he knows so much, but actually it's not like that. So people who write, they know nothing, and hope that in the writing process some kind of inspiration and understanding will reveal itself. This is why I write. I write because I have no idea what's going on. Just to gain clarity for myself and then hopefully be able to share that clarity with others. That's it.
I love that. I love that. I think that's a perfect introduction to start our talk.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And since in sacred conversations, our Java, we just we can always read about or study about Reiki, right? Read books, do our own studies, do our research. But here, I'd like us to highlight more or talk about how Reiki is embodied in our lives or how Reiki has affected our lives. So maybe we could start with a question. I know this is general, so feel free to answer or name any experience that you have. How would you say has Reiki changed the landscape of your life when you learned about it in the 90s and you started teaching it? Because I know even before Reiki, you've had your um, spiritual meditative practices. So I'd like to know how um, Reiki has changed your life. So maybe you could share a bit about your life before Reiki and now.
Okay, it's difficult, really difficult to say how Reiki has changed my life because it's been part of my daily practice for so many years. I started in the early 90s and I practice it every day. But what I've noticed, I've become more quiet, more peaceful, more loving, more kind, and less interested in myself as a separate individual. That's the main difference. And what I've learned is because I'm working with clients every day, and I like your look at people like landscapes. So when you sit somewhere in a beautiful place and looking at people is the most beautiful experience of all. You're sitting in a place by the sea or in the mountains and you're just staring at the space that offers itself to you. And you don't make any judgments, you don't make any assessments, nothing. You just look. Your eyes are just like windows, allowing the beauty to come in. And that's what I learned from doing Reiki treatments to look at people like that, like landscapes, not judging them, just taking them the way they are really in this moment. And perhaps for me, this is the most important and
Yeah,
the
that's
most
beautiful.
touching.
It's like just being in a place of allowing and just seeing things, people, places, happenings for what they are, right?
Right,
Without any
exactly.
judgment. Mm.
Exactly. And then you don't look at, let's say, a client as sick. You don't focus on what is not right, but you look at what is right and what is good and what is perfect. So when I look at people, I see perfection manifest. And then
Yeah,
when you have this attitude, then things can change.
that's right. And the way that you describe Reiki, it's really the essence of it. It's very loving and it's very peaceful, right? And I think anybody who is practicing it or has come to know it would attest to it too with their own experiences, right? And since you mentioned about, it's hard to really describe or pinpoint how it has changed um, your life. We'd like to ask you also, how is your daily practice like? So, how do you practice Reiki daily? So, could you describe to us?
The main practice really are the Gokai. I see them behind you, Faye, there. So the Gokai, the five principles, are the only Reiki philosophy that there is. And the most important, they're not moral guidelines. Don't do this, don't do that, but they're like a map of your inner landscape. So it's about to be angry, to be worried, to all the time, not for, but to do your duties diligently, to do everything that's ahead of you, in front of you, with love, with totality, and then to be kind to others. So this is my daily practice, and I don't practice this in the Reiki classroom or with my clients only, but everywhere I go. So when I go to the supermarket, when I live my daily life here, we live in a small Greek village by the sea, traditional village. When I go shopping or when I go to have a cup of coffee, I'm exactly the same. This is my spiritual practice. And then, of course, we do teach and we have treatments. We have a small center here where we receive people, where we treat them. And because it's a seaside village, mostly it happens during our summer between May and October. And in the winter, it becomes more quiet. Not so many tourists. In the middle of the winter, there are no tourists at all, no visitors. And then my practice becomes rather quiet. Yeah, when I don't see so many people, maybe I do distant Reiki instead. And then I write, I work on book projects in the winter. So this is what I do. I drive motorcycles. We grow organic olives. We just finished our olive harvest here. So I have a very normal, very regular life like everybody else.
Right. It just came to my mind because I was reading I was reading some information about you, Arjava, and and it was mentioned that you have family constellations with it's like a service that you offer in Greece. Could you tell us more about that? I'm just curious about it when you said family constellations. It's like a family therapy and
Yeah, so
you use Reiki?
basically I do three different things in my professional life. I do Reiki, I teach Reiki, I treat people, I teach meditation classes. Here every summer we have retreats where we sit for sometimes for a week, 6, 7 hours every day. And I do family therapy occasionally when the need arises for somebody. So family constellations are a beautiful approach to working with people that I learned from the founder of it, Bert Hellinger. I studied with him for many years. I used to organize his courses in Japan. And it's a way of looking at the love that's flowing or not flowing in between family members. And if you notice that there's some kind of obstruction in between the natural love between parents and children, between partners, between siblings, then you go in there and you remove the obstacles so that the natural love can flow again. Yeah, this is it in short.
Okay, thank you. That's beautiful. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Arjava, you mentioned something about like the meditation, like how important it is to meditate the Hatsureho Joshin, the Joshin Kokyuhu as a Reiki practitioner, or to involve it as a daily practice aside from the Gokai.
Okay, I think any type of meditative practice is good, and it doesn't really matter what you do, whether you do a Reiki meditation or Zen meditation or Vipassana or any method really is good. The most important thing is that you do something. So the first and most important thing of all is the breath. So my suggestion to any one of you is to start breathing into your lower abdomen, 2-3 fingers below your navel, and then your life will change. This is very, very simple to do. You don't need to change. You don't need to be something better than you are, that which is crazy anyway. You are as you are. So just start breathing deep down in your lower abdomen. And when practicing it in the beginning, maybe the breath doesn't want to go all the way down there by itself. There's some resistance. And instead of trying to push it, instead of trying to force the breath down, just move your belly. Let's see if we find it. Move your belly out as you breathe in. So you breathe in and you see the belly goes out. And then by itself, the breath goes down there. You do that for 3-4 weeks every day for a few minutes. And then it becomes your natural breathing rhythm, the same way that a small child, a small baby breathes. We all know if you watch a small child breathing, sleeping, the breath goes deep down into the lower abdomen. And two things are important about that. One is you become quiet, calm, collected, and in your center. And the other is something that many people don't know, is that not only do we have the heart that brings all the blood all over the body, but the breathing regulates the lymphatic flow. And when you breathe properly, your lymph moves properly through your whole body, bringing nutrients to all the body parts. You breathe perfectly. This is number one. Once you get into that, and the Joshin Kokyuho, the breathing technique that Usui Sensei taught, is a very good technique, or any other breathing technique from Qigong or from Chinese medicine or from any other practice. So once you start breathing properly, then find a meditation technique that's suitable for you. In Reiki, Usui Sensei was sitting like this in Gasho and focusing on the palms of the hands and the individual fingers, and then paying attention on the point where the two middle fingers meet. If you like to do that, good. If you don't, if you just like to sit quietly with closed eyes or open eyes, that's fine, but do something. Yeah? Find a technique that suits you, that's nourishing to you, that's good for you, and most importantly, a technique that you like. For some
Mm-hmm.
people,
Mm,
sitting like this is too hard. It's too
mm,
hard. Keep the arms up. You could prop them up with a pillow or
Yeah.
something, or chair. That's fine. Or just sit quietly and do nothing and watch everything that's happening on the screen of your mind come and go
mm.
without giving any preference to any one thought that arrives. And you're going to be quiet, collected, calm, kind.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
that's what
And
I
become more youthful looking.
I love that. I love that so much because it doesn't have to be complicated, right? When we think about it, at the end of the day, you find what feels good for you and what works for you, what suits you, as you said. It's like what kind of practice you would like to do every day, the kind of practice that you would stick to every day, and you won't feel as if it's a chore, right?
exactly. I many years ago I had a conversation with the abbess of the Kurama temple in Kyoto, and I just got a message that she passed away in this summer. I just got it today. And I remember a conversation we had many years ago, and I asked her um, what would be a good practice, really, a meditative practice or spiritual practice. And she said, basically, it doesn't matter what you do. It's like she was very pragmatic, very, very, very beautiful. And she said, it's just like you have the remote control of your television and you zap through the channels. And then when you find one channel that you like to see, one program, you stick with it and you do it. And you just watch, you just do this. So it's important that you find something that you like, that you feel comfortable with, that nourishes you, and that's not a chore, but that's fun. Like you're thinking, "Bah, hey, let's
Yeah.
sit for a few minutes,"
Yes,
so
yes.
like something that you really love. And then I asked her, "But how do you know that you got the right method?" She was laughing. She said, "It feels good, doesn't it?" That's the key. Yeah, that's the key. Don't make it complicated. Keep it simple.
Right.
Simple
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
is best. Yeah, complicated techniques, okay, maybe are good for some people who have a more complex mind. I don't. I love
mm.
simple. I,
Me too. I agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree. I resonate with that. Like I love simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
so this I love that answer of hers too. Like it has to feel good. And I totally agree with that. Why would we do something that would feel like suffering? Because it's something that we should enjoy, right?
Yes.
So I totally agree with you. Ah,
Mm. Yeah,
and
life is happiness.
yeah,
Should
exactly.
be happy.
Mm, mm, mm. And we're joined with another teacher, Pau Garcia, also from the Philippines. He's
Hi,
tuning in.
Frank. Hi,
hello.
hi,
Oh,
Frank.
Hello, Pau. Thank you
Hi,
for joining
pal.
us.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, so just jump in, and if you have any questions to ask Arjava, go ahead. But as we flow, I'd like to come back, Arjava, to what we were talking about earlier before the techniques or the meditative practice, because we were talking about relationships as well, and I was you were talking about family constellations, right, and about relationships, and it's like weeding out what is unnecessary in relationships to make it more loving and just harmonious, right? So I was actually before the day of the interview of this interview, this conversation, I was, I was just pondering and asking myself, I wonder what could be a question that I could ask that's a little bit general, but we could also, of course, relate to our practice of Reiki. And the word relationships came out. And I think I would like to ask, of course, when we speak about relationships, it starts with ourselves, and it radiates to the people, the things, the animals, the environment around us. And maybe I just want to know, what would you say is or is a profound lesson or wisdom that you have acquired um, in terms of relationships in your Reiki practice. So
Okay, in the Reiki practice, I think it's very easy to develop um, tenderness, tenderness in your touch, tenderness in your general attitude towards everything, towards people, towards animals, towards things, towards everything that is happening in life. So when I touch a client, I touch them with the same intimacy, with the same tenderness that I touch my kids or my wife. Yeah, of course, not intimate in a sexual way, but just intimate with the absolute love for who they are as they are right now. And for me, this is the most precious gift of all. And then this tenderness, if that is mixed with spiritual awareness, with wakefulness, with watchfulness, then it becomes a really good cocktail that's highly intoxicated.
yeah, I agree. It's just
Mhm.
filled with so much love and, acceptance of another person. Like, I think there's a tendency with people to feel separate from each other, right? And we see that and I think it's just so beautiful when we come to a place of just knowing, having that knowing and understanding that we are all one and the same, that we're all interconnected, and like
we're
being
all,
different.
we're all Yeah, we're all the same. This idea of a separate identity, it's just an illusion. It's just a
Mhm.
mental construct that we keep up with our thoughts, with our conditioning, with the way that we were taught. And it's very simple to understand that things are not like that if you imagine that you float up higher and higher, you float up and float up above the earth, and somewhere at some point where you can see the curvature of the planet. When you look down, let's say you're an astronaut and you're looking down from
Mhm.
your what do you see? You see one celestial body. Yeah,
Mhm.
we are all one. Everything is one, not only you and I, but
Yeah.
also all of nature, the oceans, the forests, the stones, everything. It's
Mm.
all one.
Mm.
And this is really the basis of Reiki, because think of it this way, that somebody who had a spiritual experience, like Usui Sensei, after when he went out to start to teach what he had realized, what do you think he had in mind? Do you think he wanted power, he wanted girlfriends, or he wanted money or anything? After a spiritual experience like that, everything becomes meaningless. You just want to share that oneness that you have experienced with everybody else. So Reiki is his way of sharing that understanding of oneness with all of us, and in every little Reiki moment, whether it's a treatment or class or an initiation, the underlying principle is this, the oneness of all things.
Yeah. Sort of like reminded me with the boat example that you said earlier. Like we're all passengers in one boat and we have to have the same destination, more or less, where the boat is going. You feel the oneness.
Same, yeah.
Mm,
We're here to learn. We're here on earth to learn. And
yeah.
have the great opportunity to become more kind, more loving,
Mm-hmm.
more sweet, more relaxed, and more at ease with ourselves and the others. And of course, a great teacher for this, to learn this, to return to face question, is relating or being in relationship with yourself, with others. And one of the greatest tools, I think, for transformation is relationship. There are different aspects of ourselves that need to be taken care of. One is that you need to be okay with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that would take our whole life to work out. Obviously, it's not something that you can complete. It completes itself in an opening, in the everyday experience until you die. And then another important thing is your work. Those of us who are blessed to be able to teach Reiki, we are very fortunate because we get to do something that we love doing, while most people go out every day and suffer and think, oh no, I have to go to the office again. We don't have that. We do what we love. Yeah? Then another important part is the relationships that you are in, whether that's a romantic relationship or relationship to people, all the same, very important. And then another important part of our life is to find a good place to live where you live. Yeah, and that's about it. It's all about relationship in between ourselves and the divinity we find in nature. Yeah,
Yes.
whether that
Yeah.
divinity is myself, my work, my wife and my children, my friends,
Mm-hmm.
my people every day. It's all the same. Yeah? It's all about, in the end, all about understanding that everything is one.
Yeah. Totally.
Beautiful.
I think we just heard like what's the good, what are the good ingredients or concoction for you to really have a peaceful life, you know. So it's like, what do you need to remember, what really matters the most in your life, right? I love that. I'd like to ask Pau, maybe you have any questions that you'd like to ask, or Ru?
Well, I'm actually blown away, with Frank was actually talking about. Like, I do feel that it was, Reiki is, it's like in relationships, Reiki is love, right? We are oneness with we are one with the divine. And when we embrace our great bright light, it's just, it's just flowing that love and that oneness with everything. And it's it is kind of simple, but it is actually complex at the same time. So I was like just blown away with the explanation that we might think that it's something that is simple, that it's something that we hear every day. But when we get to, to practice it, sometimes it's kind of complex, or it's kind of complex and it's kind of difficult, but with the consistent practice, yeah, we can. and it reminded me of the third symbol, the oneness symbol. Right? So thank you for that, Frank.
You're welcome, Paul. The simple things are the most complicated, or the
Yes.
most complex.
Right.
The most obvious is, in a way, it's the easiest, but we like things complicated. We like to sabotage ourselves. So what we need is to train, to discipline the mind, to have awareness, to have that awareness of that oneness. Okay, all the time is a big word, but more and more
Yeah.
more moments every day, and this is the practice. And therefore, I had suggested earlier that some kind of meditative practice is important. A meditative practice is not that you are trying to become some kind of light being or enlightened or something like that.
Yeah.
The point of the meditation is to generate the awareness, to keep watching all day long, and to keep seeing the oneness all day long. This is the purpose of that. It's not about sitting 1 hour every day. If I sit 1 hour every day and I'm like a Buddha, that's nice, but the rest, the
Yeah.
3 hours,
Yeah.
if I have a
And
pain in the neck, it
yeah. And it
doesn't
also
help.
becomes a routine, right? And it loses its meaning. Right. You know, when we just sit, like we have a, okay, I'm gonna do this because I was told by my teacher to, okay, sit here, or like, you know, do the self healing and everything. But if it becomes routinary and you don't develop that awareness, it loses its meaning, it loses its essence.
Exactly. So the practice is all day as long as you can, and then hopefully start to something at night. I haven't succeeded in that.
But yeah, I think it's all about, no matter what practice you do, as we were saying earlier, like whatever works for you, if it's the whole day or just 5 minutes of your day, maybe 5-10 minutes of your day, but to be able to develop that awareness is what matters the most, right? And not losing sight of that, because it is it's really the purpose, I guess, of what we're doing these practices for, right? And I
Start,
just want,
yeah,
yeah.
you start with 5 minutes or 10 or 20 or half an hour or an hour or something like that every day, and then you will notice that this awareness, it starts to invade other parts of
Mm,
life. That's how it goes. It's not
mm,
about trying to do it all day long. There's no
yeah,
point. You
exactly,
start
exactly.
small and trust that it's a process that once it started, it will expand by itself.
Naturally and
Yeah.
with ease, right?
And
Mm.
it's also the same state that you bring when you give Reiju to your students, right? That because you mentioned something in your book about sacred awakening
Um,
in terms of Reiju.
this helps. Yeah, this helps very much. In Reiki, we have. Yes, all of you who are listening, you know that we have a process of cleansing the inner pipe that connects us to source. And once that pipe is cleansed, your soul starts to remember this feeling of oneness. And that's really the initiation. It's a door, it's an invitation, and the rest is up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your work, your ongoing work. And this work is not to reach a certain something, but this work is always happening in this moment.
Mhm.
in this- this moment, Kyo Dake, only today. Kyo also means now. Yeah?
Mhm.
So always be in the now. Keep your mind in the now as much as you can, but also accept your failures.
Yeah.
Failures are great, yeah, because they give you incentive to move on, to do more. Every time you fail, you learn something. You don't learn so much, or we don't, or I don't learn so much from the things I do well. I learn more from the things I don't do well.
That's true. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
As part of the process. So don't put yourself down for the things that you can't do well. They show you that, hey, look here, you still have the opportunity to learn something new. And that's great. For me, life is like an adventure, and the difficulties, the challenges that we come across in life are like the sightseeing, yeah, the things that you see on a journey. That's great. You have the opportunity to learn, so take that. What a wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we didn't have anything to learn, how boring it would be. Ugh.
Yeah, I know. And life is meant to be enjoyed, explored, right? I
Yes.
mean, that's that's the essence of it too. So,
Absolutely.
Grow.
We didn't come here to suffer.
mm,
Mm.
mm, mm. I I'm just taking all in the words, these thoughts that we have, that the conversation. It just feels really good. And I think no matter how long we talk about Reiki, how long we talk about life, it always will boil down to the simplicity of it all. um and just it's what we've been talking about since the beginning of this conversation. So keeping things simple, just remembering that you have to feel good in everything. You have to remember to feel good about everything, in your practice, in your relationships, um in your work, in everything actually. So that's I'm just continuing to take it all in. And I think for my next point, I just want to ask you, Arjava, for those who are maybe new to the practice of Reiki, especially in the Philippines, there are more and more people who are getting to know Reiki, who are getting more interested in studying Reiki. So what would you like to tell them, or what is a message that you could give to them as they embark on this journey?
The most important thing, besides the Gokai that we already talked about, the 5 principles, and besides making them your general attitude, the practical application is the treatments. So treat people, touch people, go out and touch people. The body is our most important and most basic home,
Yeah.
and home must be explored and must be felt and must be cherished, must be loved. And by touching people, that's exactly what happens. When we are small, we grow up in our mother's arm. We are close to her all the time.
Mm,
We feel the warmth, the love, the kindness. This is the most important thing, how we feel love by
mm,
being touched. And in Reiki, when you touch people, that's what they feel, and they remember that
mm,
feeling of being a child. Everything is one, and where everything is safe and everything is good, and this moment is blessed. So
Yeah.
go out and treat people. If you can't find anybody to treat, okay, you treat yourself, but that's really not the point. The point is to go out and touch other people. And the most important thing is in these days, after the pandemic, people are so hungry for touch, and that
Yeah.
there is no substitute for that. Distant
Mm.
Reiki is beautiful. I love it. It's a useful tool, but there is no substitute for actual hands-on
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
When you touch people, they change.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's the
Yeah.
point. That's the
Mm,
point.
mm.
Go out and treat people. And I don't know how things are in the Philippines. When I learned Reiki, we were told that you must always charge for Reiki treatments. That's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. You don't. Yeah, so if you just want to give your love to others, great. That's great. When I work here in the village with the villagers, I don't charge them at all. Yeah, we just do it just out of our love. We do give them the chance to give us something. Yeah? So maybe
Mm.
they bring some eggs or vegetables or a fish or something. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Like,
go out and touch people in the touch, in the actual touch, transformation happens. Yeah,
mm.
because the boundaries between you and the other, they just melt away. Yeah, and
Yeah.
many people experience within a few minutes just this feeling of oneness, of well-being, of being loved, of being held by some very big, tender arms, and that's the most important thing.
Speaking
Mm.
of that, Arjava, I because they were not with me when the first time we talked. I would like them to hear again, like what you tell the villagers when you give them Reiki. Because of course, some of them doesn't know what Reiki is, but how do you introduce the treatment to them?
We are very simple-minded people. We don't talk in big esoteric terms or something. So when people here think that I'm some kind of a doctor. I don't say I am, because I'm not. I tell them I do healing, and I tell them that by touching the body, you activate the body's inherent healing abilities. Yeah? So the body has this incredible ability to recuperate, to heal itself, whether that's the body of a human or an animal or a plant. Yeah? We all have that in common with nature, this ability to heal ourselves. And with Reiki, the only thing we do is we remove some obstacles, and then the body heals itself. So I remember years ago, somebody asked me in an interview, who is the greatest healer on earth at the moment? And I said, it's the human body. It's not a person. I have never healed anybody. I don't heal people. People heal themselves. That's it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's yeah, like that. Yes.
And that's a very good reminder to all of us, right? Like we I like it whenever you say, our Java, that we're just removing the blockages. We're just removing whatever it is that is making us forget that we are inherently love, and that we're inherently capable of healing ourselves also, right? So I think that's a very beautiful reminder to all of us, whether or not we know the practice of Reiki, just like the villagers in Lesvos. Is correct, it's in Lesvos, right? And it's just remembering your true nature, remembering that the touch can do wonders also. I think that's a very important point, especially when we experienced the pandemic, because a lot of us, especially here in the Philippines, it was like 2 years of not being comfortable to go out. And it's just now, the recent months, that people have been going out more, have been doing more gatherings, and it feels very different. I have to agree.
Yeah.
We all need touch. We need communication. We need to be in each other's presence. I like the technical possibilities, like for us to talk now via Zoom. It's wonderful. It's really nice, but there really is no substitute for being in somebody's presence. In presence, things move.
Yeah. We'll go to Greece. Faye will go first.
We
She'll
hope
be
to
there
see you
next year.
soon. Crossing my fingers. So hopefully I know that day would come, like we would also be able to meet and see each other and touch each other in person. I think that would be a very beautiful encounter.
Yeah.
And maybe to wrap up our conversation, let's end it in a different way. I thought of asking each of us a word or a phrase that would describe how your heart feels right now. So maybe we could start with Pau, and then with Ru, and then me and Arjava would go last. So just to wrap up this conversation, we'd like to say thank you very much to all of us here, and to all of the listeners, to all of the viewers. And we hope you're enjoying this exchange. So, Pao, what is your word? What is your word, just to check out or to wrap up this conversation?
For
How
me,
does your
I'm overwhelmed, well, I think overwhelmed is not the right term, but I was just enjoying, this conversation. It may sound simple, but actually I do feel that this teaching of Frank, what he shared with us today, is actually a deep dive into what Reiki really is, and for me the word is simple love. Simple love, right? And it is because, Reiki, as we commonly say, all you need is your hands, right? The tools comes in, the crystals and all other stuff that we work with Reiki are just additions to enhance the experience. But basically, it's a simple technique, but with its simplicity, it is very profound and it's very complex, and it really really speaks to your soul with its simplicity that everybody can connect. So I think that might work. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
this
you.
experience.
Thank you, Pao. Let's go to Ru. What's your word?
My word is openness.
Openness.
Just like opening the heart, opening it more, like what Arjava was saying with the precepts, like non-judgment, like no judgment, no attachment, but at the same time you're so open. Because when the heart is open, I'll borrow Arjava's book title, Love Speaks. The heart opens, love comes out, love speaks.
Yeah,
Thank you, Arjava.
beautiful. Okay, my word. It's my turn. My word would be. I was actually thinking of expansive. Expansive. Like my heart feels expansive right now. Expansive with love and gratitude, and with ease as well. I just really appreciate so much this time with all of you, with and just having a conversation about life, and about the essence of Reiki, and why we love to practice it, and why we would love to share it all the more to the people, the beings around us. And this, and every time we talk about it, it's like we always ignite that magic that it has, that that the magic of love that it has, and that's why it keeps expanding, and it makes us expansive as well. So yes, so that's my word. Thank you so much.
Arjava's turn.
And
Nice.
Arjava.
My word is very similar to all of yours. It's spaciousness, just incomprehensible space. And that space that you feel when you look out into the world, that spaciousness when you're sitting by the beach and looking at the sea, or at night when you're looking at the stars, or that space that you feel inside your heart that is just tremendous, incomprehensible, just empty space, beautiful, 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 and everything that is has a place in it, everything. Yeah, all the good things, also all the bad things, all the people all over the earth, all the nature, everything. Space, beautiful, uncontaminated space.
Yeah.
And this is what Reiki is for me, that energy that is everywhere, everywhere. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank
next Faye will have if our Java is open, we'll have him again for another interview. But this time as a poet.
yeah, why not? Yes, we'd love to have you again. We'll do that definitely. So thank you so much
Thank you
to
very much.
our viewers and listeners. Thank you, Pau. Thank you, Ruby. Thank you, Arjava, for your time, for your presence. It's a beautiful gift. And we'd like to thank you, listeners and viewers, and we hope you join us in more sacred conversations. So we say
And
goodbye, and we send you a lot of love wherever you are in the world. Kisses. Mwah.
yeah, we'll just add a link to our Java's website as well.
Yes.
And the latest book that's coming out soon.
Oh, yes.
Oh, the next one. Okay, there are quite a few more. So my recent book is called Still Here and Now.
Still here
That's
now.
part of my autobiography of the years I spent with Osho in India. It just came out. You can get it on Amazon. And then there are a few more books of poetry coming out soon.
Oh.
And another two Reiki books. So
Oh,
A lot. It's
post it
actually
on
a
my
lot.
website.
Okay.
Yeah, on my website there's a way you can subscribe to a newsletter. So I send out information occasionally about new projects and schedule and things like that.
and the future trip to Manila.
That would be
Yes.
nice. Yeah, I've never been. You think that if you think that we could do it, let's do it.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Brian's coming in December, so he'll jump it off.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you for that, Arjava. We'll definitely put the link on your website so that people could have more information, subscribe to newsletters, um, and also buy the books, you know? So we're excited for that. There is actually a lot of books coming out. So
Yeah.
of Reiki, poetry, and more.
And the autobiography.
Autobiography, exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you,